evening, Helen. Look at you, Helen, first one in. Hi, Alison. Hi, Jennifer. Ooh, what's happening now? Helen, if you're still working, you need to have a word with your boss. Tell them you need to just turn the sound off. You need to have a word with your boss and tell them you need more time off. Working you far too hard. Okay, just before we start on the book, a couple of people have asked me about the INSD weekend, which somebody asked me what it was for. So it was the International Scrapbooking Day, which was on Saturday. So we did a 2-day weekend. So on the Saturday we did some scrapbook layout. So we got them the right way up. We got pattern paper, tags, die cuts. I can't remember what else because my brain's gone. Obviously cardstock, gems and everything. So that, I don't know if this will show up. Yeah, so that was the first layout that we did. See if I can bring it up a little bit. Oop, too far. So these were 6x6 papers that were cut diagonally and layered up with the tags and the papers and some of the bits. This word was from one of the paper pads. And some of the bits and gems. I love this stitched effect, but I did it on every other one. I may go back and do the others, but my thumb was hurting last night, so I didn't do any more. So that was the first one we did. Oops. Then we did this one. The papers here were from one of the 6x9 paper pads, and again the wording was from one of the pages, and we actually took that outside in the garden with the blue sky in the background. So that was the second layout that we did. This was the third layout. I'm really impressed. I've got photos on most of mine now, and these around the edge, I don't know if you can see it, it's just offcuts of the paper. So we did 3/4 of an inch strips of paper and just stuck them down around the outside just for something a little bit different. And again, the tags were in, they're not tags, the flags and the words and things. So that was number 3. This is number 4. The paper pad had a page of paper that had squares on it, so we just cut them out and put them round, and again a bit of I think Julie calls it packaging technique, just for a bit of added colour on the background here. Some more of the bits and pieces and another photograph. This one is, it goes from being my favourite to not my favourite. Every one of these is a punched scallop circle like this. Punch from the paper, cut in half and then layered up. I love the effect, but when I was cutting them out and putting them on, it was, oh no, still not got enough. But now it's done, I'm happy with it. So that's that one. I've got one more that I've not put a photo on yet. The photo will go on here. I haven't decided which photo to put on yet, so I'm just leaving that blank. So I've not put any. I might decorate the background, I haven't decided yet, but the photo will go on there. And I've still got loads of the bits, the ephemera and the loads of words and things. So that's the scrapbook pack. There are a couple of the scrapbooking kits in the shop at the moment, and then on the Sunday we made a book with Wendy. Oh yeah, Wendy's in. Wendy's favourite collection, which is the House of Roses book. You can probably see these are the Stamperia chipboard pieces. They are really chunky. And if I do it this way, it's got a different binding. So if you can see down here, in between each page is what's called a pony bead, which apparently kids know about. But I had two boys, so we didn't have anything. So that opens up, and you've got photo mats galore. Opens up, you've got a photo mat there. You've got a pull out in the side. You've got photo mats there. Hidden inside there. It's gone the wrong way. So you've got photo mats there. A double photo mat. Again, if you pull this out, no, I haven't got photos for this one yet. A photo mat there, double photo mat, photo mat in the middle. Whoops. Open it out and you've got a long page, but you can put your photos on, and each of your door pockets have got a photo mat and a tagging. And I think you can see better there the beads that just separate the pages, which means it gives you room to put the thick die cuts on. So this page is exactly the same, but it's got the birdies on, which I really like. I was going to put a big photo on it, but then I'll cover the birds up, so I haven't. And then on the back of this one, you've got just one big photo mat, and the same on this side. But again, the chunky chipboards, because of those beads, do give it room. On this one, you open it out and you've got a long big photo mat in there. And because I'm holding it with one hand, and the same on this side. And what I love about these die cut embellishments and chipboard pieces, don't have to fussy cut them. Again, another photo mat in the end, and then two big pockets to put your 7x5 photos in. And then on the back, whoops, another little pocket with some tags and photo matting. And within the die cuts, within the chipboard embellishments, with these picket fence frames, and all I've done is I've cut the photo mats out and just slid them behind there, and they hold them in place really, really well. And I think you got your ribbons and flowers, but I'm really sorry, I'm not well up on my flowers. I know that's a rose, these are just pretty pink ones. Yeah, don't know what they are. And then I just tied some different bits of pink ribbon, and if you've done any of Cal's classes, you probably recognise some of these ribbons from some of the other kits that have been done. So there you go, that's it. And if you want to do that, there will be a video instruction when I've done it. Unfortunately, I managed to cut my thumb on Sunday night, so it's not been done yet. But there is a couple of kits for the mini book as well in the shop. They should be live now, so I just thought I'd show you them before we start. Have a quick tidy up. If you hear anything sliding, I have just piled things up at one side, so it may drop down. So if you remember from last week, from the last few weeks, we've done the front with our step pocket, and we've done the back, although I've not decorated yet because I wanted to decorate the larger pieces. So like that, I've decorated that, and that is all from one piece of paper, so it does flow through. And that one again is a belly band with stack pocket, again stack pocket, but one sheet of, or from one sheet of 12 by 12, and I'll do these smaller pieces nearer the end in case I've got offcuts that I need to use. Again, pocket page, and we'll do that after. So we did that one last week with a pocket at the bottom with a top flap and a flap at the side going sideways. Sorry, a pocket at the side of the flap going sideways. So today we're working on the back of page 4. Now I know I've got ink on it because I dropped my ink pad last week, my blending tool, but it's fine because it'll be covered up with patterned paper. So we're going to do a fold out page. So on the original, can't show you because it's downstairs, it will open up and pull out to your left. So you need to cut one. As you remember, the pages are 8 by 8. So we need to cut one. At 8 by 8. So I'm using the wrong. Get the bigger trimmer out. I actually need to redo this. Somebody asked me at weekend, how do you see your markings? Which I really struggle with, and you can see here where I just normally put white acrylic paint on it, let it soak into the numbers where they're debossed into it, and then just wipe it away when it's dried, and it stays in the numbers. So I just need to do that again and get it redone so that it can be seen. My camera's moving now as well. Just knock everything over. So we're cutting this at 8 inches. By 8 inches. So that one's 8 by 8. Then we're cutting another one at 8 by 7.5. And the last one, we're going to cut at 11.5 inches. By 8 inches. So get my scoreboard out. And my ball tool. A quick catch up on the messages. Oh, Helen Stoke. Well, you can get home to go to bed though, so that's better. Stitching on the scrapbook layout, it wasn't machine stitching, it was hand stitching, so we poked holes and then just threaded through there. Yeah, I couldn't get my sewing machine to work. I need to play with that again. Hi Diana, hi Wendy, hi Lorraine. Sneaking on should be, I won't tell if you don't tell. If anybody asks me, I've not seen you. So on the 8 by 8 inch side, we're scoring at 1/2 inch. Oops, hang on. And on the 7.5 inch side, whoops, at 1/2 inch. And on the 11.5 inch side, we're scoring at 6.5 inches. So if I just fold these over, I am right. So on the 8.5 inch side, I was questioning myself then, you do need to do a score on the 1/2 inch and 7.5 inches. And you want fold over on that one. And score on that one. Okay, Jennifer, can you repeat? Yeah, so you've got one at 8 by 8 inches with a score on at 1/2 inch from either side. One at 8 by 7.5 with a score on one side. One at 11.5 by 8 scored at 6.5 inches. So make sure I get my book the right way up. the first one is going to attach on the left hand side. There's 7.5 inches is going to go on the top like that, and then the larger one is going to go there and be attached with that, so that it then all opens up. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So we'll just, there we go, put some glue on that side and attach that to the left hand side of your page. Put a bit too much glue on, it's oozing everywhere. I'll just hold that down and then burnish that in place. And then your next one will just slide, oops, get it level, and then if you open your score line up, pop your glue on and fold that across. And burnish that down. You've then got your other fold line, your other score line here. So if you take your largest piece that you've scored, put your 6.5 inch piece will go just up to that line. And put some glue on there. And fold that over and burnish that down. And fold that across. So now when you get to the back of your book, it opens up like that. Like I say, once your paper's on, you won't see that smudge. And like that, but it's flush at that edge with your pages. Okay, so looking to decorate this now, and what I'm going to do is use one of the larger 12 by 12 pages, because you can actually get 2 of the bigger patterns along there. So, have a look what we've got left. So I quite like that one. Now I could either do it on there, or I could do it further over. There's lots of different options. I could do it there or do it there. So I would have to put another piece down there, which is fine. But then I have to decide, do I want the top of the page or the bottom of the page? And this is where it starts getting confusing. So I'm going with the top. So I need to cut that down to just under the 8 inches. So I know now, oops, that if I pop that there, I need to cut it there just to move it across. Or I put it here and have a small piece. It really doesn't matter. You are going to have to put another piece at the side. So I will get my pencil, and I know that if I put that there, I need to trim my paper about there. So that will then sit on that bit. If you get it the right way round, that will sit on that page. And I'm going to get my ink pad. Which has disappeared. So get the ink pad. I might just trim a smidge more off the bottom of there because it's not quite got as big of a reveal as I'd like. So, oops. Change the blending tool on my ink pad back to a brown one. I don't want to be putting pink on it, so I'll just ink the edges. It gets rid of the white core on the paper, and it just finishes it off nicely as well. Possibly more important if you've got it on a darker background, because you don't want a stark white at the edge of your paper. So just cover up my big inky smudge. And put the paper down, and then again on this one just ink the edges. Okay. And just slide that in place. Make sure it's level. I'm just going to trim a wedge more off that. Move that out of the way. So from the rest of this now, I can get all my pieces of paper out. And you will have some quite large pieces left, as well as lots of small ones. So there are some that I've already cut down that are great sizes, the cut aparts, just to turn over and put a 3x4 photograph on the back. So I could then put, I've seen it. That up the side. That's a part of a different paper, it could go, but yeah, not doing it. So I'm just going to pop that up there. So for this one, I'm just going to mark where it needs cutting there and there, because when you've folded your paper and you've put your creases in for your folds, it can, depending on how wide the embossing tool is, it may not always be exactly the right dimensions that it should be, just because of the width of your embossing tool. So turn it around, then I can see it, and pop that on there. So, and I think that this blue, white and yellow, blue, white and yellow is quite a summery colour. I don't know, maybe it's me. It just reminds me of the blue of the sea and the yellow of the sunshine, which we've had quite a lot of recently, but I'm not complaining. So pop a bit of glue on the back. And just pop that in place. Okay. So now it's all about getting your papers and deciding which ones you want and where you want them. So, quite like the blue. Do that in a minute. And the other thing is, when you've got things like your pockets, put these the right way around. So for this, you don't need anything that's full 8 inches. So you could use something, I haven't got one now that's not 8 inches, but that, for instance, you could use it as a full piece on 8 by 8, or you could just use a smaller amount, a shorter amount to go, because that wouldn't do the full depth, but you could do just the top bit in that, and then across the bottom you could put some of the sea on that side, or some of the brickwork on either of those. So this is where you get your chance to play with your papers. On the top here, I quite like to move it across, putting that at the top. Now it doesn't come all the way down to there, but we've got, except I've dropped it on the floor, you could put a paper piece and just put a lighter piece at the bottom, or you could do it the other way and put your lighter piece of paper at the top. Or if when we cut into the brick paper, could just put some of the sea, which I think I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do, I know it's 8 inches across and I want to use that section. So I'm going to chop that down a bit. Bury my pencil. It's there. So pop that on there. And it's going to go to there. So that's going to go just at the top there. So I'm going to ink the edges. Have a quick read while I'm inking. Oh, Lorraine, where are you if it's freezing? It's actually been quite warm and sunny recently, and I'm in Manchester, so it does surprise me when other places are colder than us. And considering Manchester's supposed to be the rainiest city in the UK, I've had to water my plants for the last 2 or 3 weeks in the garden, which I'm not used to doing. So, bits there. So I'm just going to put that up to it, because I think the blue works quite well there. Get my pencil and just mark off where I want to trim that down to. Oh, does surprise me that, Lorraine. Normally down south is a lot warmer than us up north. Although I'll be honest, it has really surprised me. So, although hopefully all being well tomorrow, we're going on down to Wales for the day, just because I need some seaside air. Just pop the glue on. Put that up there. Ooh. Okay, so now too short. We've got this, so I can either use it that way. I think I'm going to use that one. So it's the other side of the Greek pattern and the flowers. So I'm just going to turn that over and measure up where I need to cut that. Oh yeah, I'm utterly convinced I need to live near the seaside. Helen's in Costa del Sale again. A fellow Mancunian that's been shocked by the warmness recently. Yeah. I would love to sell up, downsize and buy a little cottage well, when I say a little cottage, I mean a big one with a big craft room, or a little cottage with a big craft room, and live by the sea, but not yet, maybe next year. So yeah, that's where my head is aiming. Failing that, I'll just put a tent up in some seaside car park. Oh yeah, you're in Wales, aren't you now? Are you there permanently, Wendy? Have you completely moved to Wales now? Come from us. Oh, my great granddad came from, his family were all from Great Yarmouth and did a lot on boats, fishermen. It's probably why I eat so much fish. So on this one, I've not actually stuck it down yet. if you saw the last book I did with the pockets like these, what I tend to do is, if you get your back sheet in place and straight, get your pencil, make sure it's level, and with your pencil, if you draw around your pockets like this, okay. Oh, definitely living the dream, Wendy. I don't think you can see this on screen because it's very faint, but I have got a pencil line there. Now, what you can do is get your ruler. Oh, crabbing. Gosh, I've not done that since I was little. And then put your ruler about maybe 1/8 of an inch under your pencil mark. Make sure it's straight. And make sure it's gone through. And then again on this one. Yeah. And then join the two lines up. It's easier to work with a knife on a glass mat, but unfortunately if I move my purple mat out of the way, the light from the camera will just show a big circle. So just make sure you get right into those corners, and there you go. So I'll do the other one at the same time. So if you cut just about 1/8 of an inch in from the line, there. And then join the two up. Like that. Just not quite gone far enough to use your knife, and just check that one into the corner. So now you'll end up with a piece of paper that looks like that, and you think that's going to look pretty rough, but when you pop it back inside, it will actually go right in. So if I ink the edges on here, I don't know about you, Lorraine, or anybody else, Wendy, but a chip muffin by the seaside always tastes better as well. I don't know whether it's the sea air or, but it definitely tastes better. It could just be because someone else has cooked it, not me. So if you slide that in, level it up, you now can't see that there's no patterned paper under there, and nobody's going to go looking because you'll have your photo mats in there. So again, I'm going to do exactly the same. So that's just going to sit like that. So get your pencil again, draw your line, and then just draw your pencil line, and then again you're going just inside the pencil line, line them two up, right into the corner, and the same on that one. Oh, a bag of scraps. Yeah, they don't do them anywhere other than the seaside, I don't think, Lorraine. I suppose it's not very good for you health-wise, but they do taste really good. So just before I put them in there, I'm just going to get my rubber and gently rub out the pencil lines because we don't want to see them in our book. And again, when you're inking the edges of these, you only actually need to see to ink the bits that are going to be seen. So that's the side, the top, on that one, and again on this one. So a bit of glue on the back. And just slide that into place. And then that one. And again, just pop that in place. There. Tuck that in there, slide it into place, make sure it's straight. Ink your edges. We'll have a glue on the back. And there you go. So that's, I don't know if it's a right way or a wrong way, but it's my way. And then you can see, you can just pop your photo mats in behind, or you could put one in there, but that's too wide. You can just pop your photo mats in, but that, it just means that you're not wasting your paper underneath where nobody's going to see it. Okay, so that's that one done. I've still got the front on there. So now we've got this one to do. Now that actually flows all the way up, which is quite nice. But if you fold that back down, I don't think that's too deep for there. I'm not quite wide enough. So I'm gonna use that one to match in with that. So again, I just line this up on the pocket. So I need to cut it at there and there. Trim that bit off, spin it round, and cut that bit off. So ink the edges. And then just slide that into place. So you've got your full picture there, and then that folds over and you've got a pocket there. So now again, and I did the same on this one when I did that. So I don't know if you can see under there, there is no paper behind there or behind that one. But if anybody looks at your book, I don't think they're going to be looking at that. There's prettier things to look at than going mooching behind the pockets. So on this one, going to use, I think this is what takes me the longest, is to decide what bits of paper to use where. That might look quite nice on that pocket. Or let's measure this. Don't forget you've got, yes, that's 5 inches. So in your, if you bought the kit, you somewhere as well as all your bits of ephemera and pockets, will have a 6x6 paper pad, which is buried over here. So and also on the back of your front pocket, upside down, you've got quite a lot of cutter parts that are pretty easy to cut out. They're not that fiddly, that one is, but they're not that fiddly to cut out, so they are quite nice. Oops. So if we use that on that page, I'll just get my pencil out and mark there. And trim that down. It's a wee bit tight in the pocket, so I'm just going to trim a little bit more off. So that will slide in there. Now you could, if you lined it up, pop that in there with a, ooh, how wide are they? So you need about an inch. That's an inch. And you need about 1.5 inches, so that won't fit, but never mind. So let's pop this ink on and I'll have another quick read. Morning, Lynn. Hi, Diane. It is a great technique for saving paper, but it comes from oh gosh, must be 10 or 12 years ago. I was made redundant and I didn't feel like I could buy any new nice patterned papers while I was redundant because we had other bills to pay. So I was determined that I was still going to craft, but I was going to make sure that I used every single bit of paper as well as I could. Some of it took a lot of working out. I did start off doing that by measuring the pieces, but it doesn't always work out properly if you've got a little bit of your pocket's not quite on the right slant. So that's just the easiest way I found to make it neater and it still look okay. It's a bit like, now I know on that one I've just put the bottom in, but you don't need to have a full sheet of paper all the way down to the bottom of your pockets. In my eyes, it's a little bit of a waste. But yeah, I mean, the way the bills are at the minute, we need to save every penny for, or make what we buy last as long as it can. So I'm going to pop that there, and then I'm going to grab I've got a piece of paper here somewhere. Use the back of that one. So again, I'm going to trim this down. to there. The problem with the highly patterned paper like this blue and yellow one is that if you don't make your pencil mark quite dark enough, it can get lost in the paper. But then if you make it too dark, you can't rub it out afterwards. So, and again, don't bother inking the bottom because no one will see it. And then just slide that up. And there you go. Now, oops. It doesn't quite, no, it doesn't work that way. I'm going to cut the other one. So these are just under 3 inches. So I'm going to get my big trimmer. And cut that down. So that needs to be trimmed to there. And that one, line it up to there. And then we just ink the edges. And both while we're here. And then just slide that into place, making sure it's straight. So has anybody got anything planned for tomorrow for VE Day? Or are we all still working? Got that one. Right, now that piece of paper is just wide enough for that piece of cardstock. So if I just put that there, and trim it there. just ink the edges of your paper. And slide that into place. If you're not sure where the end, if the pages all merge into each other, just open it out and line it up and pop it into place like that. Okay, so your main bits that you see, you start with your bigger pieces and then you look at paper piecing the rest. So for instance, on this one, it's not quite, if you haven't got an 8-inch piece of paper to do the rest, 2 1/4, 2 1/8, not quite enough. I have got a don't like that bit that way. So on this paper pad, each of these is 3 inches by 4 inches. So what you can do is cut down to the middle. And for some reason that's so now what you can do is you can trim them down . So rather than using a full 8 by 8 inch piece of card, what you can do, you will need to trim it slightly. So on this one, I'm going to trim it from the top so you don't lose any of your detailing at the bottom. You only have to trim 1/8 of an inch off. But on this one, I'm going to trim it from the bottom, just because maybe I can. Quick catch up. Oh, band playing tomorrow night. That sounds nice. I don't know. I'm very surprised that we didn't get an additional bank holiday for VE Day, because they said we were going to have one for the 75th anniversary of VE Day, but of course that was COVID. So it kind of didn't happen because we couldn't get together. But I thought that would be a great idea to get everybody together. Now it's socially acceptable. I know a lot of places did street parties on Monday. but obviously the powers that be aren't into keeping us all happy and giving us an extra bank holiday. So pop your glue on the back. And all the things that are going to be on TV about it, if you're working, you're not going to see it anyway. So you just line that up. And stick that down. I've already inked it. Get glue everywhere. And then when you've got little offcuts like, oh, not quite, but that, if I trim that down, like that, ink the edges. Pop that in there. And that's your stacked pocket on that one done. And you didn't need to use a great big 8x8 piece of patterned paper. Yes, we had a socially distanced party on the street. We're in a cul-de-sac and well, nobody was going anywhere because we weren't allowed. And yeah, we had a street party of such that we all just sat on our driveways and waved to each other down the street. Very odd times when you think it was 5 years ago, and in some respects it was a long time, and yet in other respects it feels like only the day before yesterday. So on this one we have lost a piece of card. There it is. Nope, it's not the right one. So again, we can use an offcut. Just line that up, mark it in pencil, and just mark where you need that cutting. Trim it up. Oops. And ink the edges again. And I have found, especially if you're using the cheaper foam applicators for the distress inks, somebody told me to get them from Temu because they were really cheap, and I did, but when you're inking the edges, some of it frays off, and that's how you get little brown bits all over your work. So it's not always a good idea. So I've still got them to do. And that one. It's 5 inches. Not quite. So now I end up going through, that'll do, all the odds and ends of patterned paper by starting with the bigger pieces of cardstock that you need to cover, it's easier. Because when you get down to your smaller pieces like this, you can use your offcuts. I know a few people who've just done it, base decorate as you go along, but then when you get towards the end of your book, you end up having to like patchwork, which with some papers looks brilliant and it can look really, really good. But then others don't work quite as well if you try and patchwork it. But it's what you've got to work with. So again, I'm just gonna line that up. That needs trimming there and there. Completely cut that down wrong. Two marks on the paper, that's why. I'll get another one in a minute. So just ink your edges. And now I've warned you about all the bits coming off your pad. None of them are going to do it now. So, okay, those of you that are making along, homework if such, for next week is to finish all your base decorating, which I'm sure you'll have done because you'll be way ahead of me. Just put it all back together. So next week we will work on decorating the front and back of your covers and your spine, and popping your hinges in, making your hinges and popping your pages into your book. And then we may get that done next week, I'm not sure. I would think we would. There will be another book that I'll be making either in 2 weeks time or 3 weeks time, depending on how much we get done next week, and it's going to be a cute little paper bag book, and I don't know where it's gone. It was around ready for me to show you tonight, but I think it's been buried under something, so I will get that, find it and get some photos taken of it. I tried taking them earlier, but it was just too sunny outside to be able to take them, so I'll get those taken and pop them up in Paper Scissors Story so you can have a look at it, and we'll get started on that in about 2 or 3 weeks time. So have a lovely weekend whatever you're doing, and I will see you all next weekend, or next Wednesday even. Have a great weekend. Bye.